Hey guys, it's Aaliyah with Open Doors, Open Hearts blog, and today I'm going to share with you how I made these Pottery Barn handcrafted pumpkin dupes out of air dry clay. So one night while I was scrolling on my phone, which I absolutely do not recommend ever scrolling on your phone at night, but here I was, I came across these pumpkins and I thought they were adorable. But when I saw the price tag of $30 to $60, there was no way that I was going to spend that kind of money on just a little pumpkin. So eventually I put my phone down and I closed my eyes and was getting ready to go to bed when I had an idea. My sweet friend Jennifer from Cottage on Bunker Hill just finished these super cute clay trays that she made in the shape of leaves, and I thought, if I combine that idea with these terracotta pumpkin ideas, maybe I could make my own Pottery Barn dupe of these pumpkins. Step one is I pulled out some parchment paper, ripped it, and laid it flat on the table here in front of me. The first pumpkin I made when I had the girls running around, I got some of the air dry clay on the table, and it wasn't hard to clean off, but I just thought if I could save myself an extra step, why not? So I put parchment paper down first, then I grabbed some aluminum foil and I created a mold for what I wanted my pumpkin to look like. So for the first pumpkin, I did that kind of like abstract-y pumpkin that looked very, very much like a handcrafted pumpkin. For the second pumpkin, which is the one I'm showing you right now, I did that cute little pumpkin that was more like flat and stocky. So whatever your inspiration pumpkin is that you would like to create a duplicate of, just create an aluminum foil mold. I squished the aluminum foil down. I didn't make it as tight and compact as I possibly could, but pretty tight. I used a couple sheets of aluminum foil to create this mold. Don't worry about the stem. We'll get to the stem later. Okay, so now that you have your aluminum foil mold, the next thing that you're gonna do is you're gonna grab some of your air dry clay. You're gonna roll it and kind of warm it up a little bit, get it a little more pliable. And then I just took the girls' Play-Doh rolling pin, because that's what it's for, and I just started rolling out the clay. I made it flat and as much like a circle as I could, because I know that I was going to be taking this piece of clay and wrapping it up and around my aluminum foil mold. You may or may not have some thin spots where your aluminum foil may come through a little bit, and that's okay, don't worry about that. What you're gonna do next is grab some more of that air dry clay, and you're gonna make it pliable, make it nice and easy to work with again, and then you're gonna roll it into a snake. And then after you get it into a snake, you're gonna kind of squish it so that it becomes flat. Not completely flat, but like a little flat-ish. And then you're gonna attach that to the bottom of the pumpkin, up to the top, and just kind of, I always had excess. I always felt, when I was making the second one, I always felt like I made my snakes too long, but it was okay because then I was able to just continue to reuse the clay. But so you just kind of push it down into the clay ball that you have, and then you're gonna have a clay ball with this weird looking snake, flat snake on the outside. So then you'll do that a second time, so you have two side by side. You have two flat snakes side by side on your pumpkin. You're gonna begin to push in the clay toward the other flat snake on the one side, and then you'll do it again on the other side. And this is blending the two flat snakes so that it looks more cohesive. It looks like one piece, and what you're making are the ridges on a pumpkin. So I actually have a little pumpkin here, and those little snakes, once you push them in and together, you'll see it's going to create just a little ridge like on a real pumpkin. And you'll work your way all around your fake pumpkin, your pumpkin ball, your clay ball, until you're all the way done. Now, one thing I will say is I recommend doing it just adding one as you go. The clay will start to dry, and it didn't get, I did them all at once and then tried to put them together. It didn't dry out completely and make it super difficult to do, but I could tell that by the time I got to the end, it definitely was easier when the clay was not dried out at all. So as you're doing this and you're working the clay together, you're gonna notice that you can tell that it was an additional piece of clay that was added to the base. You're gonna see the crack, you're gonna see the crease or the fold. So you're gonna want to dab your finger in just a little bit of water and kind of smooth it out a little bit. This will also rehydrate the clay as you're working. So if some part of it does kind of dry out, you can add a little bit of the water. A little water goes a long way. So I even had a paper towel beside me, and I dip my finger in the water, and almost always I got too much on it. So I dab it on the paper towel just a little bit, and then I'd get to working. And the water was very, very helpful in helping get rid of those cracks. So once you work your way around the entire pumpkin and you have your pumpkin shape, the last thing that you're gonna wanna do is add your stem. Again, I just created kind of a stem shape. I put it on top and I worked the stem down all the way around the pumpkin and used the water technique. I also pulled out Popsicle Stick because I felt like my fingers were too big to get in there. So I pulled out a Popsicle Stick, dipped it in water, and kind of just gently slid it around the stem to help make it look like one cohesive piece, and that's it. This is seriously one of the easiest and, in my personal opinion, most fun DIYs that I have done in a long time. I did the lamp, I've done the table recently, the coffee table, but this DIY was so easy. I got it done while my mom watched the girls for 3 hours. It was super quick. I actually had some leftover time, and so I made some of those little leaves that I was telling you Jennifer, my friend, did. Hers are big. I just made little ones that I was gonna go ahead and put in a little vignette that I put on the coffee table that I'm so excited to show you guys my living room in a couple weeks. So I put those in there, and now I have these pumpkins and they're all done. I will say, when the pumpkins are drying, so I set them down on their base and let them dry. And then the next day I came out and the top was pretty dry, but the bottom was very wet. So then I just flipped it over upside down, just very gently, and let the bottom dry. The second day I came out and the bottom was pretty much dry. So these pumpkins took, I would say, between 2 and 3 days to dry so that when you grabbed them, they weren't squishy anymore. But I would say probably a full week before I felt comfortable letting the girls touch them. So that's it. That's all there is to this DIY. It was super easy, fast, and so much fun to do. If you haven't already seen, last week I shared my kitchen and 7 tips for how I decorated the kitchen very simply so that I can work in the kitchen and we can do all the fun things in the kitchen, but that the kitchen still feels like it's decorated for fall. So I'll go ahead and add that up here in a card so you can go ahead and check that out. If you liked this fall DIY, then you're gonna wanna hit the subscribe button down below, because next week I'm gonna be sharing another video with another fall DIY. I'll see you next time.